This was my Justice League. These were my heroes. Man, Batman hit, Superman hit, Justice League hit. Now, granted, OG Justice League, I have my gripes with it. Just mostly because of the way it was presented. I'm sorry, cramming 2 plot lines into constant hour-long episodes, I wasn't really down with that just because of the fact that some of these plots didn't need an entire 2 episodes to tell its story. It just didn't. You could have cut out some of that middle, streamlined some of these episodes, and you would have been fine. That's what kind of killed me sometimes about this. But, dude, Secret Origins, the first episode, I knew Batman, I knew Superman, kind of knew The Flash, because of that time he appeared in Superman. That was all kosher. But Wonder Woman, I'm shocked that this, aside from Super Friends, I watched that when I was real little, but that doesn't count. This was my true proper introduction to Wonder Woman? Like, how dare you hide this from me? And given what Wonder Woman would do in the 2010s, specifically the 2010s, just how dare you guys never make a Wonder Woman series? How dare you? And Hawkgirl. Dude, I'd heard of Hawkman. Hawkgirl eclipsed Hawkman because of this series. She eclipsed him. Hawkman who? Who the fuck? Who the fuck you talking about? That man with the complicated backstory and all that? Nah. Shira of Thanagar is all I need, brah. Flash was fantastic. I will admit finding out this was the Wally West Flash kind of made me feel some kind of way, because I thought these were all the OG guys, but I mean, Wally West is, let's be honest, he was the more fun Flash. Especially around this time, when this came out, 2001, Wally West was the more fun Flash. And, my god, Black Green Lantern? What? Excuse me? I'm sorry. I had always thought Green Lantern was a white man. And given out of the 4 previous Green Lanterns around this time, well, human Green Lanterns, technically 5 if you want to count Alan Scott, out of those, one of them is black, but he never really got that kind of shine. Because Alan Scott gets the credit for being the first, Hal Jordan gets the credit for being the one who killed the Green Lantern Corps, Guy Gardner gets the credit for being an asshole, Kyle Rayner gets the credit for being the bright, creative of the Green Lanterns. John Stewart, military man, all business, baby. Although I will admit I was always kind of mad that most of his constructs were never actually constructs. He usually just used energy attacks. I'm just like, John, you have the power to make anything and all things with hard light. Get more creative, for the love of God. But the formation of the Justice League was so strong here. It was fantastic. It's just like alien invasion, Superman can't stop it all, Batman doesn't have the resources to stop it all. We found Martian Manhunter, which I always love when they find Martian Manhunter. It's just like, yes, do it. Let's get in on it. Oh man, I was so into Martian Manhunter when this series started because he was so powerful. The shape-shifting, the phasing abilities, it's just like, he's essentially Vision, but a little bit cooler because he can shapeshift. And the creation of the Watchtower, oh man, it was a solid start to the entire series. Now, it kind of waxed and waned in a few places because sometimes certain characters wouldn't be in an episode, other characters wouldn't be in an episode. It kind of went back and forth. But it introduced me to so many concepts that I wasn't familiar with at the time because I didn't really read comic books at this point. It'd be another 5 or so years before I solidly started reading comic books. But the Manhunters, no man escapes the Manhunters. And the episode with Aquaman, like, dude, Aquaman sacrificing his hand to save his son was the most metal shit possible. I was always kind of lukewarm on Aquaman up until this point. This made me an Aquaman fan. Anybody else can just shove it. Like, it never made sense to me. Any Aquaman joke after seeing him in this series, because I'm just like, oh man, Aquaman's a fucking badass. How dare you have an ill word to say about Aquaman? He's amazing. And how Lex Luthor was starting to die because of kryptonite exposure, which I found hilarious. I was just like, you dumb bastard. Most people don't realize kryptonite is fucking radioactive. I love it. I love that kind of stuff. You got the meteor freaks in Smallville. It's just like all these people gaining special abilities and powers. And what does Lex Luthor get? Fucking cancer. I don't mean to make light of that, but considering the person that Lex Luthor is, like, I mean, he literally brought it upon himself. But I loved seeing the formation of the Injustice Gang. Cheetah, Star Sapphire, my first introduction to Star Sapphire. The Shade, Copperhead, the friggin' Ultra Humanite. I love the Ultra Humanite in this series. The only version of the Ultra Humanite I will accept. And Solomon Grundy, born on a Monday. Like, this series got me into so many DC characters. My first solid introduction to Felix Faust, Mongol, the Gorilla City episode where they introduced Gorilla Grodd. Like, because I had no idea who Gorilla Grodd was, his turn completely took me off guard. I'm just like, what? Gorilla Grodd's a bad guy? No! He seemed like such a nice guy. Hey man, Grodd was something else. I hate the way that Grodd is portrayed nowadays because I love the sophistication they gave to Grodd in this series. Something about super intelligent apes. It's just like, yo, it's so fun. And it's not just in a Planet of the Apes style, but whereas they will play chess with you. Like, seriously, I would have loved more episodes. I would have loved a solid team up between Gorilla Grodd and the Ultra Humanite, but I think they ended up fighting each other in this series. I don't remember. I think they hated each other in this series. Got to explore Amazonia, the episode Legends with the Justice Guild of America, because for some reason we couldn't have the actual JSA, which actually kind of made me a little mad when I found out about that. I'm just like, we could have had the JSA, but that moment where Jon Stewart got called son, or was it boy? I think it was called boy, and it was just like, ooh, you lucky you his hero, or he would have slapped you something silly. And it's unfortunate. It really is that it wasn't the solid JSA, but considering what kind of happens in the episode, I'm also kind of fine with it not being the JSA. I'm gonna be honest. And the introduction of Etrigan. Gone the former man. Rise the demon Etrigan. I loved the episodes that had Etrigan and Morgan Le Fay, and it was just so much fun. I loved it. This series made me a lover of Etrigan the Demon, like, yes. And the episode that introduced Metamorpho. That was my first introduction to Metamorpho. Loved the character, loved his abilities. It's such a tragic story. Simon Stag, of course, because, a lot of, the Golden Age was superpowered villains. Silver Age, I think, was scientists, and I think it was the Bronze Age that started to bring in more businessmen types. I might have that completely confused, but that's why there's so many business tycoon type people running around in fiction who are bad guys, and Simon Stag is like kind of like bottom of the barrel kind of billionaire super villain kind of situation, but his claim to fame will always be Metamorpho. Like, that's Metamorpho's arch enemy. If you ever see Simon Stag, there's Metamorpho not too far behind, or vice versa. But I remember just being so sad about this episode. And then Savage Time, where Vandal Savage creating a world where the fucking Nazis win. This was my introduction of Vandal Savage as a goddamn Nazi. I didn't know how to feel about any of that. It was hilarious though, looking back on it. It's just like Vandal Savage is a Nazi. And the introduction of Steve Trevor and the way that ended was actually kind of sweet, between the relationship between Diana and Steve Trevor, and just, oh, yes. Ooh, that did things for me. And it was a way of making it so that the Justice League existed during World War II, around the time they would have originally been around, you know. And so it's just like, oh, why weren't they involved in helping to stop World War II? It's just like, because they weren't from that time period, blah, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. Some fun stuff here and there. And then you got the season 2 opener, where you had basically a Darkseid trying to defend Apocalypse against Brainiac, which I think is hilarious. That Brainiac would be the ultimate foe for Darkseid, and they ended up both being taken out during the course of that, which I also think is hilarious, because it's just like, dude, Darkseid fearing Brainiac, that is so surreal. It's so hard to fathom. And, ooh, the episode Tabula Rasa with the Amazo Android. The Amazo Android, standardly, is a solid foe. Yes, in the comics he is a solid foe, tough to deal with, but not impossible. You just have to be careful with it. This, they took the Amazo Android to heights never seen before and never seen since, because it got so out there. Like, the first introduction to the Amazo Android, it just keeps learning and growing and developing and improving, and it's just like, there comes a point where it's just like, okay, this thing is essentially getting close to turning into a god. You gotta stop this. And the way around it was absolutely fantastic, because it's just like, with all those powers, eventually it was kind of going to overload it for the most part, but I'll get to when the Amazo Android returns later on. But ooh, fantastic stuff with the Amazo Android, and its appearance here is only compounded by its appearance later down the line. And the episode that introduced Dr. Destiny in Only a Dream, that was surreal. That was actually pretty fun. I only remember him mostly because of the costume. The portrayal of Despero in this series, though, I wasn't really digging. They made him a lot weaker than he's portrayed in a lot of other comics. This was probably the worst portrayal of Despero. But a better world that introduced the Justice Lords. That was actually a solid episode, because it was Injustice before you were introduced to Injustice. There's been a myriad of stories about Superman and the Justice League turning evil, but this wasn't quite it. It was, what if the Justice League had just had enough? Had just decided, you know what? We could just probably do a better job ourselves. Like, they had just gotten fed up with people and the bullshit that they did. And finding out the reasoning behind why they took this somewhat darker turn. And it wasn't even like it was like dark, but it was dark enough. Like, the directions that they took were very, I don't want to say justified, but understandable. Like, yeah, why don't they just lobotomize most of their enemies so that it can't do any harm ever again? They're bad guys. They've killed who knows how many people if they gotten that bad. And then it quickly turns into, why not lobotomize everybody who does something even remotely wrong? Like, it's that slippery slope where it's just like, oh, it was kind of easier to do things this way. why don't we keep doing that? Like, is that question? It's just like, why don't these heroes just do this? It's just like, because it's not their job to be judge, jury, and executioner. They're there to help prevent things from getting worse. It's up to the law when they capture the bad guys, send them off to prison, and in a lot of situations, these bad guys, it's not hard to find evidence that they've done something wrong. They're usually wearing the goddamn supervillain costume. It's the law that's usually wrong. It's just like, oh, the Joker has killed this such and such this many people. Execute him. Execute him. He cannot be rehabilitated. It's not Batman's job to execute the Joker. Why are we putting that on this man? He is not a literal executioner. He's a preventative measure. Don't give the psychopath in the Bat costume a license to kill. No! No! The law should be doing its job, and the fact that the law keeps making it so that, oh, just send him to Arkham, will he just escape again? The law is wrong then. The law is wrong. And you fix that through reform. I know ultimately it boils down to comic books. You can't just kill off the Joker. He's too popular. But at the same token, it's just like, if you're going to try to explain this shit, you got to understand that Batman is not law enforcement. He's not an executioner. He doesn't have the authority to do that kind of shit. And the moment he does, it starts to justify the negative light a lot of people try to paint him in. And I hate that argument of why doesn't he just kill the bad guy? Because it's not his job to kill the bad guy. It's not their job. They go in, they stop a disaster, sort it all out later, let the police force take care of the rest. And if a court system cannot sentence the Joker to be executed by injection, gas chamber, firing squad, what the fuck have you, then it's the law that is wrong, and they are the problem. End of discussion. Oof, I went on a tangent there, but it gets me because I keep hearing that argument, and I'm just like, it's not his job to kill. It's not their job to kill. What else? The episode that introduced Eclipso was meh. I mean, you got the concept of Eclipso down, but it doesn't feel like they did enough with it in this series. The episode that kind of made the DC version of the Defenders was actually pretty fun, with Dr. Fate, Aquaman, and Solomon Grundy. I remember wondering about this team up when I was younger when this came out. I'm just like, such an odd team up. Why does this exist? It was a parody of the Defenders, which is very clever. I mean, they played it completely straight, so good on them for that. And the Secret Society, where Grodd tried to create his own Injustice League, basically, which was actually pretty solid. I really do love it when you get these massive villain team-ups, because you don't see enough of that sometimes. And then the episode Hereafter, where Superman, quote-unquote, died, and Lobo tried to take his place. Like, I love the episode, but I'm gonna be real, I love it just because Lobo was in it. Like, the main man. It was just so much fun to have Lobo in it, just being a dick. Just being Lobo for the most part. But Superman spending his time in the far-flung future, where the only person left living is a very repentant Vandal Savage. And that final scene where Savage is able to send Superman back, and Savage is so glad to see a better future start to take the place of the one he had helped to devastate, and the smile that he has in the end. It's just, I love the ending to this episode, but I love the adaptation to the death of Superman too, because of what happened with the Justice Lords doing what they did to Doomsday, which, doing what they did to Doomsday. I have some feelings about that. That was a very anticlimactic way of dealing with Doomsday, and one that wouldn't actually work, honestly. Not permanently. Not that it was permanent, but it was alright. And Wild Cards, where the Joker had, brought in the Royal Flush Gang, which, I'm sorry, this was the episode that actually made me think the Royal Flush Gang were a credible threat, to be honest. Like, they seem like a credible threat, and then everything else portrays them as their goons. They're a bunch of fucking goons and goobs. Never take them seriously. They're just goons. And I was so heartbroken to find that out, because it's just like, look, not only were they fun in this episode, they were voiced by the friggin' Teen Titans. Like, I love that. It was such a fun direction to take with all of these characters. And the fact that they were kind of based off of the looks of the actual voice actors, like full on Scott Melville looking like the character he's portraying, and it's so funny. It's just so funny to see. The only one who didn't look similar at all was Ace. And for one thing, just because Tara Strong and Hayden Welch both have blonde hair, so, it would kind of overlap if you were to kind of do it that way. So they just decided to make her a little bit more like Raven, which is ironic because you're basically kind of flipping around characters for the most part, which was an interesting direction to go with. But it was fun. It was fun just to have a machination of the Joker cause this much trouble to the entirety of the Justice League. And then to have the episode before the finale be a Christmas episode. And the joke that always gets me is where Clark still tries to peek at his presents and they're lined with lead. And I'm just like, that whole moment with Clark, his parents, and Martian Manhunter is something that lives rent-free in my head and I will treasure to the end of my days, because it's those kind of moments that really help a series shine. And this was also the episode that really made me love the Ultra Human Knight. I loved the Ultra Human Knight before, but where he teams up with the Flash and all of that in order to help give the kids a Merry Christmas, and I'm just like, oh my god, it's so sweet. It is so sweet. The night out that Green Lantern and Hawkgirl spend together was fun. Honestly, I was disappointed, genuinely disappointed, that we didn't get a moment for Batman and Wonder Woman in this episode, because everyone else just had such a solid showing here, and it was so good. And then the finale, Starcross. Oh man, this killed me when I saw it. It killed me, because it was just like, what? Hawkgirl betrayed us? Thanagar is invading? She was betrothed to some douchebag named Hero Talak, the poor man's version of Katar Hol? How dare you? And for all the things that went down here, it really was the relationship between John and Shiera just falling apart that destroyed me, because it was just like, it was such a sad moment. It was just like, was any of it real, Shiera? And it was obvious it was real to her, but she thought she was doing it for the greater good. But then the fucking Thanagarians are just like, oh yeah, we're going to open up this star bridge that's going to allow for us for faster travel, but it's going to end up destroying the Earth in the process. Just like, oh, this is on some friggin' Kree-Skrull war bullshit. Like, ends justify the means kind of bullshit. If it wasn't for the fact that the Gordanians, I'm pretty sure, were the ones who also tried to capture Starfire in the animated Teen Titans cartoons, I'd say you were the worst. Like, the Gordanians should wipe you out. Fuck yeah. Getting innocent people caught up in your goddamn war. And after the constant beatings John took in this episode, I was glad when he finally managed to take down Hero. I was just glad. I was glad for it to end. But to go out on the note of how everyone voted if Hawkgirl should stay behind because she betrayed her people in order to save them, but she betrayed them first, and to find out that the entire time they'd been together, she was a mole this entire time. It's just like, it killed me. It killed me. I also loved the team up with Static that we had. They were fun. I was actually kind of hoping to see Static when we went over to Justice League Unlimited, but that never happened, and I was really disappointed. Really disappointed. The destruction of the Watchtower got me. And the moment where everybody's identities are revealed to each other, it was a funny moment. It's ultimately revealed at the end that, in regards to Shire staying, as I was saying before, was that it was voted that she would stay, with John excusing himself because he knew his personal feelings would get in the way of everything. And with it being explicitly stated in Justice League Unlimited that Superman broke the tie because Superman believes in second chances and he believes in his friends, which makes a lot of sense. But it's pretty obvious how the voting went, because it's obvious that Flash and John voted in favor of Shire staying, because Flash, while he is such an empathetic character, he has been explicitly stated to be the heart of the League. And of course he would want to give Shire a second chance because he believes in people, he cares for his friends, and he really believes them to be a kind of family for the most part. And he has this bromance with John. Of course he would want to have her around just to make up with John. And in regards to Manhunter could definitely feel what Shire was feeling, that she felt empathy for her role and all the destruction that took place. So I could not see him voting for her because, for one thing, it's the only family he's ever known. And of course he believes in second chances as well. He believes in Superman. He really truly believes in a lot of the good in people. Now, of course, people against it would be Wonder Woman, Batman, because you don't get to betray Batman and just act like it's all well and good. Like seriously, especially this Batman, but especially this Wonder Woman too. She really took it to heart what happened with Shira. She absolutely was livid about this. It's just like, you don't get to betray her and it just be okay. Wonder Woman took this hard. Like, Diana was pretty hard edge in this universe. And to be honest, if we had that moment with, Maxwell Lord and Diana snapping his neck, I'd fully believe it. I'd fully believe it if it happened in this universe. Diana was ready to kill a man on sight at all times. This Diana, she shows a lot of love, but she also shows a lot of vengeance, which it really did make sense for her to be so interested in Bruce, because it was just like, ooh, they got some issues. But yeah, that's Justice League for me. I love the series. Again, I still feel like a lot of episodes didn't need to be two-parters. A good chunk of episodes did not need to be two-parters. I'm glad they managed to overcome the issues with Wonder Woman. Like, seriously, the legal issues with Wonder Woman were so stupid because you were just making it so that this character couldn't be enjoyed by enough people. And it was something to do with Wonder Woman could only be in something if she was like the main character. And it's just like, dude, at this rate, nobody's going to get to enjoy Wonder Woman. We still have yet to actually solidly have a Wonder Woman animated series. Green Lantern got an animated series before her. Not to knock Green Lantern, but dude, come on, seriously. And I kind of hated the defined cheeks that they gave to Wonder Woman and Superman, I was not about that. And I was so glad when they changed it up for Justice League Unlimited. Just no, you made him look too old. Give it a few years and maybe, but here, no. That was not a good idea. Although Superman getting his ass kicked in damn near every episode he was in was kind of frustrating, but also kind of hilarious. It's just like, well, if you make him too strong, he'll just wipe out every bad situation left, right, and center. But on that same note, it's just like, come on, guys. You're doing it a little too much. I could go on and on and on about this series. I really could. But I feel like I should just stop now. I think I've gone on way too long with this. It's enough. Tell me your thoughts on Justice League in the comment section below. Did you love the series? Did you hate the series? Were you lukewarm about it? I'm interested to hear from you. Was this your introduction to the Justice League? Was it your favorite incarnation of the Justice League? Let me know. And until next time, please like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for notifications for more of my DC memories. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.